There are growth seasons that look exciting, and there are growth seasons that feel heavy, confusing, and painful. And here's what no one really tells you. Some of the most important growth seasons in your life won't feel like growth at all. They'll feel like loss, like grief, like God is doing the opposite of what you thought he promised. And I want to talk about those seasons today because I've walked through them. And if you're in one right now, you're not alone. We love to talk about growth once it's over, once the story makes sense, once the pain turns into purpose. But growth is rarely clear while you're in it in the middle. Growth feels like tension, like uncertainty, like trusting God without clarity. Most people don't quit in the beginning and they don't quit in the end. They quit in the middle where prayers feel unanswered, where obedience feels unrewarded, and faith feels more like endurance than confidence. I want to pause here for a moment because if this is hitting close to home, you might already be telling yourself a story. You might be wondering, did I miss God? Did I wait too long? Did I make the wrong decision? And I want to say this clearly. Confusion does not mean disobedience. Pain does not mean you're off track. Sometimes it simply means you're early in the process and clarity hasn't caught up yet. One of my earliest major growth seasons came when I left corporate America to step into ministry. From the outside, it looked noble, purpose-driven, aligned with calling. But later, when I stepped into this executive leadership role at church, what I found behind the curtain was not what I expected. I saw leadership that lacked humility, control instead of care, behavior that ran completely counter to the fruit of the Spirit. And what made it so hard was that on the surface, everything looked right. But over time, the fruit told a different story. Instead of love, there was fear. Instead of patience, there was pressure. Instead of gentleness, there was control. And I realized something very important. Calling doesn't excuse character. And spiritual language does not sanctify unhealthy leadership. That realization didn't make leaving easier, but it made it clearer. One of the hardest parts of that season wasn't the leadership itself. It was reconciling what I believed about God with what I was experiencing from the people who claimed to represent him. That tension forces you to mature because at some point you have to decide, will I anchor my faith to people or to the character of God? That season refined my discernment. It deepened my dependence on Jesus, and it clarified that following God doesn't always mean staying where things look spiritual. Leaving didn't just cost a position. It cost friendships, community, reputation. There was spiritual abuse. There was physical stress. I was hospitalized, and yet I don't see myself as a victim. I believe that God had us there for a season and for a reason. But when that season ended, we burned the ships. No backup plan, no safety net, just obedience. And that painful exit, the one that felt like failure to some, became a doorway into building our real estate team. And what looked like rejection was actually redirection. But I couldn't see that until much, much later. Another growth season that shaped me deeply was becoming a parent. Our journey to having children was long and painful. 10 failed IUIs, endless appointments, hope, followed by disappointment over and over again. It's demoralizing. It strips you down. I remember one specific Sunday, we had just gotten another negative test. We were broken, but we were on the prayer team at church that morning, and the very first couple who came up to us for prayer just found out they were pregnant. And that moment, it could have crushed me. I could have believed that God was being cruel, that he was causing pain. But instead, I chose to trust his character. I believed he wasn't trying to hurt me. He was shaping me. We prayed. We rejoiced with them. Sure, there were tears, but also resolve. And looking back, I don't believe that God was withholding something from us. I believe he was forming something in us. Waiting wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And formation, it always lasts longer than we want it to. But it shapes us in ways that instant answers never could. That season changed how I relate to pain, mine and other people. I'm more patient now. I'm more compassionate. I'm less quick to offer cliches. Because when you've waited that long, you stop trying to rush people through their healing. And that matters. Not just as a parent, but as a leader. Because leadership isn't about having answers. It's about having empathy. And then our son was born. And shortly after, we were told that he had a deadly disease. One that they said he likely wouldn't live past his 20s. And no parent is ready for that sentence. And that season grew my faith in ways that nothing else ever could. It stripped away control. It forced daily dependence on Jesus. And it redefined what strength actually looks like. And today, by God's grace, my son is healed. But the growth didn't end with that miracle. It continues every day, becoming a better father, a more present husband, and a leader who understands what truly matters. Looking back, I wouldn't choose any of those seasons again, but I also wouldn't trade who they shaped me to be. Both can be true. So here's what no one tells you about growth season. Growth often feels like loss before it ever feels like progress. It comes disguised as endings, as delays, as seasons that feel emotionally empty. And if you're in one right now, hear this clearly. You're not behind, you're not broken, and you're not alone. God is not wasting your pain. Some seasons will grow your platform, and others will grow your roots. And the roots matter more than you know. If you're walking through a hard season, stay faithful in the middle. Trust the process of growth. And ultimately, trust Jesus in that process. He's not finished, and neither are you. If this resonated, I'd love to hear in the comments. What season are you in right now? And if you want more conversations about growth that's real, not polished, make sure you subscribe, because growth doesn't come through comfort. It comes through faithfulness.